What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having an amazing day. Today we're talking all about how to stop getting used. Like maybe you have friendships, family, relationships where you feel like you're just there to be their therapist, where you feel like everyone around you is just a little leech, just like taking up everything good about you. And I used to be there. I used to be that person who felt like I was getting taken advantage of all the time. And it is not fun, it is draining. And it is amazing to have those qualities of being so empathetic and understanding and a problem solver, but it's not very amazing when those things are getting used and then you just feel like it's a curse. And that doesn't have to be the case because it is actually totally up to you how people treat you and what you do with these qualities, and that's what this video is about. If you're new here, hi, I'm Nika, welcome. I, 10 years ago, went through a big, we call it a breakthrough now, but it really felt like a breakdown, like awful. I went to a mental hospital. It was a whole thing. And after I came out, I decided to change my life and to basically change everything. Like I really did so much work. And now I'm sharing what I've learned and what I'm still learning in very like actionable steps with you so that we can grow together, because it can be a little lonely sometimes and you don't have to do it alone. So please join us if you want to, of course. Make sure to subscribe, check out my other social media, and without further ado, let's just get into it. Also, I started drinking coffee recently. I am hyper. I am a firm believer that an awareness of a problem is a problem half solved, and then the other 50% is just your behavior changes, because this is really up to you. Like, and that was so hard for me to realize. I think it's so easy to get into like a victim narrative when you feel like everyone's using you and you're this good person who's so empathetic and understanding and just wants to love and give, and people are using you, and it really is up to you if that happens or not. Like, I feel like those qualities are still very much at play in my life, in my career, in my friendships, relationships, everywhere, but I don't feel used anymore, like at all. And I decide when I have the energy to give those qualities, and I decide who gets them. That's the most important part. It's so easy to get into that victim narrative, especially when you realize like where it comes from, which we're gonna get to. It's usually from a place of hurt, from usually childhood, surprise, surprise. Yeah, it's so easy to feel like a victim. And in some ways, yeah, maybe you are. And that sucks, and it's okay to be in that and feel sorry for yourself for a little while, but then you need to pick yourself up and be like, okay, this is a pattern in my life. For me, I'm the common denominator, so what can I do to shift it? Because if you're surrounded with like semi-good, run-of-the-mill people, they probably don't even see what they're doing as them using you, because you've probably never given them that impression because you're always there for them. And that's why they keep coming to you. You're the one who always says yes, you always have time. You put them before you put yourself. And so for them, it's really simple and easy, convenient, and also safe to come to you for, you know, those needs that they might have, whether it's, you know, them just needing someone to listen to them or give them advice. The problem is when the only time you hang out is when they need you. And when you need something, no one's there. That's where the problem is. If you're naturally very giving and empathetic and a beautiful person, and you know, you have amazing people around you who are that way as well, there's absolutely nothing wrong with you giving the world those qualities, like at all. It is amazing, it's beautiful, but if they're not, first of all, even acknowledged, appreciated, if they're just given out to whoever, if they're used and abused, that's a different story. And that's what we're talking about today. That is a big part of you, obviously, like if you found yourself in that situation, and it is a gift, and I want you to see it in that way, because then you can protect it. Because why are you giving it away for free to just whoever knocks on your fence or breaks through your fence? I like to see boundaries in that way. I feel like it's so much easier to understand. Imagine you're a house, you know, the exterior of your house is how you look, blah, blah, blah. The inside is like the juicy stuff. And then you have your fence around it, obviously to protect your property. And your fence has so many holes, it's been beaten down, and people are just barging in whenever. And you're just there like, it's fine, break my window, break my door. It doesn't matter. Oh, you're here. Thank you for being here. I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna do everything for you. It is up to you to change that and to fix your fence and have stricter rules of who comes in and who barges in when you don't have energy to give or when they're just not reciprocating the same thing. Okay, I'm slowly deteriorating because it's so hot, so I apologize. Please just ignore what's happening on my face. But let's get into where this is coming from, that awareness of a problem that's like 50% of it. Because once you figure that out and you have that aha moment of like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. It like loosens its grip on it. And then it's, again, behavior changes of things that you need to do to act differently, to behave differently, to uphold your boundaries, whatever it might be. So a very, very, very common reason is that growing up or in some like traumatic experience, even later on in life, in some relationship, you felt like you were good enough, loved, cared for, got attention, admiration, all of those things that make you feel loved. You felt like you only got that when you were being useful to someone else. Maybe you had to take care of a parent. Maybe you were the go-to therapist that, I don't know, your dad, spoke to about his problems, even though you were a child. Once I figured this out, it was like atomic bombs going on in my head. I was just like, oh my God, that makes so much sense, because that was like a sure way for me to get love, right? Like just being there for someone. And even if they didn't tell me like, oh, I love you, they spent time with me and they gave me that attention. And so even like later on, when I had this problem of feeling like I was being used all the time, I was always like, it's so weird, because in the moment, like when someone was coming up to me and telling me their whole traumatic life story, even though we just met, or, someone was dumping their problems onto me, which I was a magnet for always until I changed my behavior, I felt in the moment like this addictive feeling. And that was that fix of like that love and attention that I felt like in childhood I didn't get enough of. So anytime I would get it, it was like a fix. Oh, let me be here and listen to you and like do everything. Even though I'm 14, you're 40, and I'm here giving you advice. It felt like a drug. But then afterwards, I would always feel so exhausted and my energy was totally depleted. I felt worse about myself. Like it was just like using a drug, honestly. Like I've never had drug issues. I don't want to like minimize what that's like. It's obviously awful, but it felt like that. You were like, you take the drug, it's a high, and then you crash back down, and then you need the drug again to experience that same high. Like that's how it was for me. And I feel like a lot of people relate to that are struggling with this. Like, oh, it's actually because I just need love. The awareness of that was just like, that is not the love I want. Like, I do not want a friend who is only there when they need me. I want to have relationships where it's reciprocated, where, it's not about me being a therapist and that's all I get out of it. Like, what kind of a relationship is that? And it really took that click of that awareness to be like, okay, no more of this. No, thank you. Another reason is like a need for control. This comes up a lot if you're someone who's like dating people who always need your help and you feel like you're basically holding their life together, and if you leave, it will implode. It is hard to hear this, and you might not relate to this. It might not, be the reason why you do it, but a lot of the time it is. By you being the person who always has it together, by you holding the reins of their life, you have all the control. Whether that's true or not, that's a whole other thing. I'm editing this and I forgot to mention one of the most important things here. By you holding the reins of their life, it kind of ensures that they'll stay, because what are they gonna do? Leave? Like their whole life would fall apart without you. So in your mind, it's like, this is me ensuring that they stay. And this is obviously all subconscious, you're not aware of this, but that is a lot of the times why you're doing this. It feels safe, and it kind of ensures some stability and that they're not gonna leave. And also it feels great for our ego and self-esteem to be like, I'm the righteous one, I'm the good one, I'm the smart one, I'm the put together one. That feels so much better than being in a relationship where you're the mess. It's like, whatever I do wrong, it's not gonna even come close to what the other person is doing. It's not nice to hear. And once you have an awareness of either those two things, like I need control because I actually never felt safe, I can now instead of being around these kinds of people, I can actually just focus on myself and give myself that safety. And it's actually very convenient to not do that and just focus on the other person because they're the problem. So you don't have to look at yourself. And so you keep running away from your own issues and you keep looking away from your own stuff to be there for other people. Ask yourself, what am I actually running away from by being constantly available for other people and focusing on other people? What are you running away from by doing that? Seriously, ask yourself that. And a lot of the times, the first little answer that comes up is usually the right one. It's before your brain has the chance to like go on in overthinking mode. So what are you running away from? There's a reason. There's always a reason. When I figured this part that we just covered out, I was like ready to change. I was like, I cannot do this anymore. Like, this is not how I want to live. I want to have healthy relationships. I want to feel loved because of who I am, not what I can give other people all the time. But if you're not there yet, ask yourself, what are the negative repercussions of you doing that all the time? Whether it's you feeling exhausted, feeling used, feeling like you're never actually loved and cared for who you are. It's just about what you give. It's very transactional. Write a list, a whole list, and then you can decide, do I still want to keep doing this? And if you do, that's your decision. And then you can do it loud and proud, you know? The problem is when you do these things subconsciously and you don't even know where it comes from. Another thing that really helped me to shift this was like, who am I to give this advice? Like, actually, who am I to do this? Like, I was, I don't know, like a teenager when I was doing this a lot, like 14, 15, 16. I went through a lot up to that point, so I did have a lot of life experience, but still, like looking back, I'm always like, what kind of advice was I giving? Like, I am not qualified for this. And so one kind of rule that I put on myself is don't give advice unless it is asked. Because I just kept offering it, like even when people didn't want it, it was always there, you know, because I was again craving for that love and that fix of that attention and being useful. Another thing is let people show you who they are. That was like my mantra for a long time. Let them. Take off the reins. If you're someone in that relationships who's always controlling the partner and like it's exhausting and you're just like, but I can't not control them because then they'll do X, Y, Z. Let them. If you are scared of your boyfriend cheating and so you're always controlling them and being with them all the time, checking in all the time, wouldn't you rather know if they would do it or not if they had the chance? I would. I like want to know if my boyfriend, if it was offered to him, if he would cheat or not. I would prefer to know that straight away than to keep controlling it until it maybe happens. Like, that is so much anxiety and so much energy that you could be putting towards something else, towards yourself, on working on yourself, whatever it might be. So let them show you who they actually are. And the same goes for you putting up boundaries and not always being there for people, especially if they're not reciprocating. And, you know, if you don't have energy to be a therapist to someone, to say like, I don't have energy right now. I'm like, I need to focus on myself. I'm sorry I can't be there, but I really need the time for myself. If you're scared to do that, again, same thing, let them. Let them show you, are they still gonna be there for you and be understanding of the fact that you just need to have time for yourself? Or are they gonna take that as super offensive and not wanna be your friend anymore? Because that tells you everything you need to know. And when I was going through this, I lost friends. And it happened very quickly. As soon as I had these realizations and I decided no more of this, like I am not going to be used anymore. I want to have those beautiful qualities and share them with the people that I love, but there's a time and a place, and there are certain people who honestly, frankly, don't deserve it. I remember I wrote a list of friendships where this was happening all the time, and the majority of those people I'm not friends with anymore. Actually, all of them. I remember one specific instance of a friend that I had for years, and I felt like our friendship got to the point where we would only hang out when he needed something, when he was going through something, when he needed my advice, an ear to listen to, whatever. And so I remember he texted me like the new problem of the week that he, just at that point expected me to fix because I was always doing it. I legit replied saying, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope you feel better soon." And that was it. And I didn't want to ghost him because my guilt, would have skyrocketed. Just even me saying that, I felt like a bitch, you know, and I had so much guilt around that. But I knew that if he was a great friend and if this friendship was gonna last, he would respect me not always being there for him and me actually needing him also sometimes, you know, and that didn't happen. He never texted me again. That was the end of our friendship because, again, he needed me just for that. So when I didn't offer it, he was gone. And I let him. And it felt great to be like, leave, goodbye. I don't want this kind of friendships anymore. This is not the type of relationships I want in my life. So again, let them. Let people show you what their true intentions are and what kind of a friend they are or a partner or whatever. Your role and your job is to protect yourself. Again, it is up to you to build and uphold a good fence and to decide who gets in and when. That is no one else's job but yours. And you might feel guilty, honestly. Like, I'm just gonna tell you straight up, if you have been doing this your whole life and it's when you got that admiration, you're probably going to experience guilt. You just have to be like, I know why I'm doing this. It feels, you know, uncomfortable right now, but with time, I'm not going to feel guilty anymore. And I'm going to be pissed off when someone does something like that to me or acts that way towards me or treats me that way. I'm going to be pissed. But right now I feel guilty because I just started this journey and that's okay. It's going to pass. And it does, honestly. Now if someone... Honestly, it never happens because I feel like when you start working on your boundaries and just yourself, focusing on yourself, like I don't have time to be someone else's therapist in my life or a therapist for everyone in my life. I'm focusing on my own business, my relationship with myself. I have a fulfilling life. Like I don't have time to be your therapist. I'm so sorry. You can book an appointment with someone else who does that as a job. I'm happy to be there for the people that I love and that love me and that do the same for me. Everyone else, goodbye. You want to cuss me out for it? You want to tell me how awful I am? Do it. It's not going to change anything. My fence is not going to change because you don't respect it. The people who don't respect your boundaries are the people who never benefited from you having none. From you? You know what I mean. That quote. It's a great one. Also, what you permit, you promote. Once you kind of change that energy and have that strong boundary around you, people feel it. Those people who are just using it are gonna fly away, trust me. Or in some cases, that relationship is gonna shift to something actually healthy and beautiful. And a lot of the time, if you're someone who's constantly giving, you actually don't really ask for much. Maybe even try to like ask for things from now on of your friends. And see if they're gonna be there for you. Let them show you. But what I wanted to say is that when you meet new people, they feel that. You know when you meet someone and they're just like super confident and they just have that energy of like, that boss energy, like, I'm not gonna mess with them. Like, if I want to have a relationship with them, I'm not gonna cross them in any way. You know, I'm gonna respect their boundaries because if I don't, I know straight away when I meet them, because they have that energy, that I'm gonna be out. I'm gonna be kicked over that fence and they're never gonna look back. And so that energy is very strong and people can feel it. Right now, those boundaries are probably non-existent. At least they were for me, and everyone could feel it. And everyone just used it because they could, because it was convenient, because it was easy, because it felt good for them to, you know, get some advice. It wasn't like, you know, probably even a thought in their mind, oh, am I using Nika? It was just, I was letting them. So at the end of the day, it was my responsibility and my fault for doing that. And if you're getting into that victim narrative of like, oh, everyone's just using me. Yeah, because you're letting them. Like, I'm going to link my victim narrative video down below. If you really struggle with this, I highly recommend. I've been there. So I'm not trying to shame you at all. That's not helpful. But it is up to you to change this, honestly. No one's going to do it for you. No one's going to build that fence for you. And even if they did, that means they could control it then. And you're kind of in the same spot again. So you don't want that. Build your own fence made of brick, of whatever you want, with a nice door and a camera on it so you can see who's coming in and you can let in the right ones. And another thing is you need to like kind of tune into how you feel. And that was really hard for me when this was happening. And my therapist at the time was like, your body knows. Like, if you're feeling exhausted, if you're feeling depleted, you need some time for yourself, your mind might go into like, oh, but I feel guilty, I need to be there for them, otherwise we won't be friends, blah, 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 blah. It becomes a whole thing. Your body is very simple. Your body is like, I feel exhausted. I'm tired. That's it. We're tired. Okay. That means I don't have time for much today, and I need to give myself that energy that I was planning to just freely give away. I want to make a whole video about how to set boundaries and how to actually communicate them so that people respect them, because I see so much advice on TikTok and Instagram that like makes me cringe so hard, because this whole therapy talk when it comes to boundaries is so overused that people don't take it seriously. Like, Bethany, you've overstepped my boundary. Like, you kind of cringe. You're like, you're crazy, you know? And I've learned through trial and error of going through that process of building my own boundaries that people respect them when you show them instead of telling them. Imagine there's a robber that breaks into your fence, breaks into your house, they destroy things, they take things, and then they get caught. Are you gonna sit them down and be like, Rob, you've overstepped my boundary. This is not how we behave. No, you're gonna, report them, take the necessary precautions so that this never happens again. Have an amazing security system, a great fence, a great house, blah, 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 so that you don't allow this to happen again. Because again, it's up to you to uphold that boundary. If someone has been crossing it over and over and over again, it is your responsibility that this keeps happening. You telling them after, like, actually, you've been overcrossing my boundaries for the last 3 weeks by doing XYZ. That is not a boundary. That is actually not a boundary. That is you putting that responsibility on other people, and most of the time, they're not gonna respect it. So you need to show people through your actions, and there need to be repercussions for people's actions. And the worst one is that you're out of my life. We're not letting you into the fence at all anymore. So yeah, that covers everything I wanted to say. Again, I want to make a whole video all about boundaries, and we can chat more about this, but I hope this was helpful. I hope it all made sense. I feel like I was a little all over the place. I'm a little hyper from the coffee, so I hope it was still structured enough for it to help you, but I'm so happy to be back. I took a little break for vacation, my summer vacation. It was pretty long, but we're back, ready to work better than ever, and I have so many exciting videos planned, and I can't wait for you to watch them and for us to have these discussions. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week.